Hey guys, sup? Cardmaster Phoenix here, bringing you guys some more Magic the Gathering online content. Today, going to be going over my upgraded Elven Empire structure deck. This is something that started off as just the base precon, but then I took out some cards, added in a lot more, and switched around a couple things, folded it all out. This is not the complete list. There are a few cards that are not available in foil that I would be running if I had them available in stock, but unfortunately no such luck. Those cards are Elvish Archdruid, Canopy Tactician, the alternate art of Nomade Shepherd, Wirewood Channeler, has a foil printing, but I want a specific version of it. Voice of the Woods, same thing. I want a specific version of it. Ruthless Winnower, Wolverine Riders, Bounty of Skimflower, Packed Serpent, Crown of Skimflower, Tyvar Kell, and Serpent Soul Jar. Other than that, let's go ahead and hop into the deck. This is just basically Elf Ball Tribal, you know. We are running 28 lands, which is pretty low, but I figured it's okay because basically our creatures are lands as well. I believe we are running 12 forests and 12, let me see. Let me go to my lands here. Yeah, so I'm running 12 forests and 12 swamps. I'm just using the unhinged ones. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so I'm just using the unhinged lands because they're full art and they look beautiful in foil and they're cheap. So 12 full art basic swamps, 12 full art basic forests. As for my non-basics, I'm running Golgari Rot Farm. It's bounce land. I don't know. I mean, I like it. I, in general, tend to like the bounce lands. It does kind of put you in a weird spot where you may have to discard if you play it too early. But I've personally never ran into this problem because, again, I have a lot of run drops in here. And so it's fine for me. The only other card, I would probably end up cutting this for either another basic or one of the other cards I mentioned if they do come back in stock. The only other card I think about cutting is Skimfar Elderhall. So this is, as far as I know, new out of Kaldheim. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a green, and God, this activated ability is horrible. You can pay 2 generic, double black, a green, tap, and sacrifice it to give one target creature you don't control -2/-2 until end of turn. And then you create 2/1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens, and you can only do this at sorcerer speed. So first off, why do you have to sack it? It is 6 mana just to give a creature one creature -2/-2 until end of turn. It's not even permanent like -1, -2/-2 count, -2 -1/-1 counters. You do get 2/1/1s, but that's next to negligent in terms of advantage. And then you can only do it at sorcery speed, so it has to come all the way back to your turn. It's just absolutely awful. So I'd absolutely cut. This is the first card I'm cutting. As soon as I get a chance. The only reason I kept it in here is the very first game I played with it. My opponent had a Tindershoot Dryad, which just so happened to be a 2/2, and I was able to get rid of it. But until then, it's fine, I guess. Moving on to the 1-drops, we have quite a few more than we did have at first. We have Elves of Deep Shadow. It's a 1/1 for 1 green. Taps out a black, deals 1 damage to you. It's perfectly fine. We start off with 4 to life. We don't care about it. Elvish Mystic, Fyndhorn Elves, Llanowar Elves. They're all the same card basically. Draga Tree Speaker. Really does help with our mana like a lot because it turns our elves into double mana dorks. So basically, so that's nice. Deathrite Shaman, I love this card. I got myself a whole playset actually, just because I love it that much, but yeah. Soaring, obviously. Fauna Shaman, this is usually what I use to get something like one of my payoff cards. What I mean by payoff cards, I mean like for casting elf spells / creatures. So you know, your Lysolana Huntmaster, your Beast Whisperer, Priest of Titania, stuff like that. It's just really good. Speaking of which, we actually have Priest of Titania. Taps to add green for each elf on the battlefield, including your opponents. There was one time where me and one of my opponents were running the Lathril deck, and this tapped for like literally 25, 40 mana. It's crazy. Roots of Wisdom. I love this card. 1 in a green, mill 3, return a land or elf from your graveyard to your hand, and if you can't, you draw a card. So at the very worst case scenario, this card replaces itself. Really nice. And then of course we actually have ways to synergize the milling 3. We'll get a few ways actually, but we'll get to that. Golgari Signet, Lightning Grease, Swiftfoot Boots. Round out our 2 drops, just very standard. Lysolana Scarblade. So outside of those 2 lands, there's not really much else that I've covered thus far that I think about cutting, but this actually might be one of them. So on one hand, I really like it because it's basically guaranteed removal, but the times that it's been in my hand, it's either not come up because I didn't have an elf card to discard, or I've wanted to keep it to play on that turn, or maybe next turn, whenever. I don't know. But yeah, 2 and a black for a 1/1 elf assassin. Tap, discard an elf. Target creature gets -X/-X for X number of elves you control. It's basically a sort of conditional one-sided Toxic Deluge, only it's single target. So anyway, speaking of which, next up we have Toxic Deluge. I have basically never been able to play this because every time it's been in my hand, I just so happen to be up against your Sharn and Placeable Earth, which is super annoying. But anyway, Poison the Cup. I know from my experience, a lot of the people that I've seen on YouTube, like Nitpicking Nerds and Command Zone, I believe even, were telling you to cut this card when they're doing their pre-con upgrades. Personally, I like it. 1 double black, instant, destroy target creature if it's foretold, scry 2. Of course, its foretell cost is 1 in the black. So you pay 1 in the black, you destroy something at instant speed, then you scry 2, so you get card selection / filtering. Honestly, I don't even think I cut this. I mean, I might, but I really like it. Necropotence, just really good. Beast Within, some standard removal in green. Elvish Rejuvenator. At first, I never understood why this card was played, but then I RTFC'd, and then I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. So, 2 and a green for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from one line to the battlefield tapped, the rest go on the bottom in a random order. You may put a land, as in any land. It doesn't have to be basic. I don't know how I have skipped over that for this long, but yes, it does put non-basics. So I don't actually have one right now, but because they're out of stock. But that means that if you have it in your top 5, you can literally put a Gaia's Cradle on there with Elvish Rejuvenator. It's crazy. Imperious Prefect, I know it's called Perfect. I call it Prefect because Imperious Perfect sounds stupid. Elf Lordess, creates dudes. It's nice. Marwyn the Nurturer, this is one of our payoffs. There's another card in here, which I'll just go ahead and tell you is, Pride of the Prefect. It gives elves that control. Actually, I might have cut that. I'm not sure if I did. If I didn't, that's definitely one of the cards I'm thinking about cutting when I get the other cards in stock. But yeah, just really good. Taps for a load of mana. Marwyn taps specifically for her power, not the amount of +1/+1 counters she has. So obviously if you have Elf Lords or other ways to boost your power, that will count as well. New Madroga Chieftain. This is a card that's amazing when you have a way to mana sink it, sink a bunch of mana into it, but otherwise it just doesn't do much. You'll maybe buff one thing a turn, but there's been one or two instances where I've used Numa to kind of cheat my way through a Toxic Deluge. The one time I was able to actually use it, um, because my stuff would be like would be a bunch of like 4 or 5s, because I had like mana reflection stuff like that out, and I would just Toxic Deluge for 4, and everything else would die except this. But yeah, it's crazy. I really like it. Realm Walker. New card out of Kaldheim. This is actually a buy box promo from Kaldheim. I really like it. Um, it's just good. I like that it says you may look at the top card of your library anytime that you play with it revealed. That's really cool. Um, yeah, it helps potentially unclog your deck if you need to get access to a land. Reclamation Sage, basic removal, Rise the Exiled. Potentially thinking about cutting this. It just doesn't really do do all that much. It's nice for life gain, but other than that, eh. Timberwatch Elf is absolutely crazy. Basically, every game I've had this either in my hand or on the battlefield, it's contributed, if not directly, pretty much almost single-handedly won me the game. So, effectively directly. Elvish Archdruid, Elf Lord, really good. Elvish Champion. This card This card was like $8 when I first found out about it, like when I was first building the deck. But then for some reason, it literally skyrocketed overnight to, I woke up the next morning, it was like 29 in paper, so I'm just like, okay. But, 1 double green, 2/2 Elf Lourdes, gives your stuff Forest Walk. The Forest Walk doesn't come up, but it's nice evasion, helps lateral hit. Eternal Witness, currently bugged on Moto, so I'd probably cut this for now until the bug gets fixed. But also, not an elf. I never realized that until I hit into it with Herald Unites the Elves, which is a card literally right next to it. Um, but wow, you would look at this thing and assume it's an elf, right? But nope, it's not. Um, anyway, Azuri Renegade Leader. I wish they would do they would give the other versions printing of this, like the alternate art that came out in the dual decks. I wish they'd give that a foil treatment. That way I can get it in foil because it looks way better than this does. Overrun, which generates another target elf. Really good. Jagged Scar Archers. Um, I know I'm in the minority here. I actually like this card. Not a lot. I definitely understand people who want this to not be in their deck, but personally, I have almost always had a pretty viable target uh to knock down what not use this to knock down, even if it wasn't like a good flyer. Just the fact that you can knock down something like a Consecrated Sphinx, really good. Um, Llanowar Tribe, it's just 3 Llanowar elves put together. Uh, Abomination of Llanowar. I love this card. Okay. First off, why the hell does it have vigilance? That's so busted. It doesn't even fit. I mean, I guess maybe if you want to make the argument that it's kind of a green thing, but it's really anyway. Um, yeah, I know a guy who loves this card so much that he actually runs it as the commander, and I totally am on that train. This is crazy. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of elves you control and in your graveyard. So again, you don't really care if you mill that much. Um, it just really, I just love this card. I love this card. Next up, Herald, King of Skimfar, new out of Kaldheim. Um, I really love this card. I mean, Lathril will pretty much always be an infinitely better commander. But if Lathril didn't exist, if Math of the Guilt Leaf didn't exist, this would be my go-to. Honestly, I'm tempted to build Lathril in Golgari Elves in EDH with Herald as my commander, just because I love the idea of recurring continuous value out of that ETB. Look at the top 5, reveal an Elf Warrior or Tyvar card from among them, put it into your hand, rest going on the bottom in random order. It's just so crazy. I mean, because that hits so many things. I fully expected this first reading it the first time to only hit elves, but it also hits warriors, which some of the better elves are also warriors. Like Lysan Lana is an elf warrior, or Tyvar if you have that, which is great. It's really great because it turns all of your elves that are likely already mana dorks into mana dorks plus, basically, for either color, I guess I should say. It's got Menace, so basically it's through Lathril, but the power and toughness are switched around. Putrefy, I know a lot of people are saying this is overrated, mainly Command Zone and Commander's Quarters, but I personally really love this card. 1 in Golgari, instant speed, destroy target artifact or creature, can't be regenerated. Regeneration, I admit, doesn't really come up that much, but it's a nice bonus, and it destroys basically any problem at instant speed for 3 mana, which is really nice. Shaman of the Pack, I love this card a lot, not as much as I love stuff like Abomination and Herald, but it's really good. 1 in Golgari for a 3/2 Elf Shaman. ETB's target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. I've literally used this to kill someone before. Like I would just play this and it would ETB. I'd be like, okay, drain for 30, GG. Fun story / fact. This actually won me a game that I should have absolutely lost. I'll cover that in a replay eventually. Other than that, we have Basalt Monolith. Yeah, just really good. Moving on to the 4-drops. Yeah, I am running part of the Prefect. I probably would cut this. 300 black for an enchantment. Elves you control get +2/+. Here. It's just not that good. If it was +2/+, well, I guess +2/+2 would be kind of busted. But, I just, even if it was +2/+1, maybe, but I don't know. I don't like it, really. This is probably getting cut. Ambition's Cost, got the OG artwork because it looks so sick. 3 black, draw 3, lose 3. Really good. Skemfar Shadow Sage, I love this card. Like, it's so crazy. So 3 black, you get a 2/5, which is just base power toughness. You can easily get it more with all your elf lords. Each opponent, not target like Shaman of the Pack, but each opponent loses X life for X the greatest number of basically elves you control. But creatures you control that have a creature type in common, you gain X life for X the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in common. So this is basically a mass drain / mass gain, but it's not restricted to just elves, so it's really good. Court of Ambition. I love this card as well. This alongside Shaman of the Pack is why I want. It was mainly this card, but also Shaman of the Pack. Shaman of the Pack's what won me the game technically, but this is the reason I stayed in the game long enough to pull out the win. 2 black enchantment. When it enters, you become the monarch. At the beginning of each upkeep, each of my upkeeps, your upkeep, sorry. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard. If you're the monarch, they either lose 6 life or they discard 2 cards. It's crazy. Birthing Pod. I know it sounds crazy thinking about cutting it. It's just, I mean, it's just kind of slow. I mean, I'm not sure if you caught that, but damn. Anyway, the best thing I've ever done with this is sacrifice a token to get like a mana dork. Eh, it's fine, I guess, but I'd think about cutting it. Elvish Promenade. So there's another card that's exactly the same as this, basically. What is it? Elven Ambush, I think it's called. They both cost 3 and a green. This is and they have the exact same effect. Create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token for each elf you control. The only difference is this is at sorcery speed, but it's an elf card because it's tribal, and Elven Ambush is an instant, but it's not an elf card. So you can technically add this off of like your not Tyvar, your Herald. There's other cards that do that as well in here. So it's really, do you want the synergy with being an elf card, or would you rather have it at instant speed? I'm running both personally, but you know. Here's Null Mage Shepherd, really good. 3 and a green, 2/4, tap 4 and top creatures you control, pop any artifact or enchantment. Really nice to have that removal. There's been times I've done this 2 to 3 times a turn. It's just great. I wish I had the new artwork out of Kaldheim, the alternate art. This is fine, I guess, but I just prefer the other one more. Sylvan Messenger, again, same thing. I wish I had the other artwork for it. 3 and a green for 2/2. For some reason, it's got trample. Yeah, okay, this is another one of those things that puts all elf cards. So if Elvish Promenade was in your top like 4, yeah, top 4, it would add that to your hand. The best I've ever gotten off of this is a 3/4, where I've added 3 out of the 4 cards, but it's still really good because it can potentially just refill your hand, which when you're basically playing cards every single turn for the first few turns of the game is really great. Wireless Channeler, you already know what this guy does, but it's crazy. I wish I had the non-old border for this, basically. Beast Whisperer, another payoff card. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Is technically an elf. Really nice. Drynen, it reaches for some reason, even though Galta doesn't. It's kind of like a slightly worse Rice, the Exiled, because it gives you 1 life for each elf that's attacking, not just each one you control. But it has reach, and it's in Elf Florida, so that's nice. Greater Good, I don't know how I feel about this card. There's a few reasons it's in here, because I have ways to buff my team, but this just doesn't come up. Sacrifice a creature, draw a card equal to the sacrifice creature's power. It's in discard 3 cards. I don't know. I mean, this is probably one of the only reasons that Pride of the Prefect is decent, and it's still a bad card, but it's like whatever. But yeah, you'd want to be getting at least 6 or 7 cards off this if you're gonna discard 3, you know. But anyway, so thinking about cutting it, maybe, but it is still a really good enchantment. Lifelong Huntmaster, probably one of the best cards in the deck, if not elf cards in general. It's crazy. You look at it, you read it, and you say, one token every elf cast doesn't seem that great, but dude, it makes such a big difference. You don't even know until you play it. Even Nature's Herald. This combos with Seedborn Muse, which is something else I'm running in here. That's basically the only reason it's in here, is because this and Seedborn is kind of nutty, but other than that, eh. It has flash and gives green creature spells you control flash, like in your hand, basically. Not that you control, but whatever. Binding the Old Gods, this is fine. It's just like more removal. 2 in Golgari. Pop an online permanent and an online permanent, so that's nice. Search a library for a forest, like any forest, so it can be like a dual land or something. Put on the battlefield, tap, shuffle. Creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. Oh, and what's that other card? I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the start. The Golgari card, it's that card for 2, it's that card for 2 in Golgari that gives attacking elves you control death touch, whereas this just gives your creatures death touch until end of turn, in a way. That's an Ellen. I love this card. Herald Unites the Elves. 2 in Golgari, military cards you may put an elf or Tyvar card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So first off, it's from your graveyard, not from among the ones you mill, and it goes straight to the battlefield, not back into your hand. 2 is you put a +1/+1 counter on each elf you control, and 3, whenever an elf you control attacks this turn, target creature an opponent gets controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. This triggers separately for each creature you control that's attacking, so it's really good. You can just swing with your team, wipe away basically every creature, and I mean this could potentially just win you the game. Golgari Finebroker, it's basically a themed Eternal Witness. Turn target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. It's fine. It's a way of recursion. Return Upon the Tide, 4 and a black. Thinking about cutting this card. Foretells for 2, and then it's, of course its total cost is 3 and a black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's an elf. If it's an elf, create 2/1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. Sad that it's not any creature, but whatever. Final Parting. This is really only in here because it's like a filler card, basically. I will say this is really great when you have stuff like Crown of Skimfar and Mass Admirers, basically stuff that you would actually be able to retrieve from your yard, but other than that, it's just kind of whatever. Churkard Shadow, 3 double black, foretold cost for 2 double black, instant speed. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. You'll get rid of 2 tokens. They'll get rid of potentially their best creatures. One time I used this, I sacked 2 tokens and I got rid of 3 commanders, which is crazy. 2 partner commanders and on the same person's board, and one other guy had a commander on their board. The other guy wasn't doing anything. Return a Wild Speaker. This is just a one-time version of Greater Good, basically. It's Greater Good and Overrun put together. 4 and a green instant. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Non-human creatures you control get +2/+3 until end of turn. I'd probably cut this, to be honest. It just doesn't seem to be doing that much for me. Battle Mammoth, I love this card. 3 double green. Foretold cost 2 double green. 6/5 Trampler. Whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell and ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Seedborn Muse, really good. Wish it was an elf. Kind of looks like an elf, but whatever. A Voice of the Woods. Tap 5 untapped elves. Create a 7/7 elemental with trample. Not terrible. Moldavine Reclamation. This is really only in here because board wipes, but so I am kind of thinking about cutting it because it's conditional. But through the through Golgari, so it's a 5 CMC enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, you gain a life and draw a card. Basically, whenever somebody wipes, I refill my entire hand, so it's like less of a feels bad from my board going away. But whatever. Bullets of Citadel. This is basically strictly worse than Necropotence. Well, I guess technically in a way it's a little bit better. I don't know, it's kind of weird. And Mana Reflection for a mana doubler. Don't have Double in Season and the other one yet, but because they're not in stock, but I'm working at getting those. Zendikar Resurgent and Nyx Bloom Ancient. Again, mana doublers. Well, I guess Ancient's technically a mana tripler. Terastodon. I hate the way this card's designed. It basically encourages you to blow up lands. It's stupid. Critterhoof Behemoth, and Torment of Balefire, Galta. And yeah, that's the deck. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been your host, Carter Phoenix, signing out. See you guys next time. Have a good one. Look out for the game coming soon.